we got a whole cast of Democrats that are running for office, running for president of the United States. Whether they've declared yet or not, that's what's happening. Gavin Newsom is certainly going to run. Josh Shapiro is certainly going to run. JB Pritzker now looks as though he is going to run. And I say that because, one, he was in New Hampshire over the weekend, but also he's taking on other Democrats. Now, look, normally I would say it's a little early for this. We don't need Democrats cannibalizing our own or some other such thing, I might say. But in this moment, right now, with what is taking place in our country, there is a stark lack of actionable leadership in the Democratic Party. So every voice that stands out and criticizes the bad actors like Gavin Newsom sitting down with racists and white supremacists and insurrectionists and just the new Nazis among us, Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk and a bunch of other dipshits that he's shaken hands with to find common ground. Where can I find common ground with this new Nazi? That's not going to win you an election, Gavin Newsom. Telling an audience of people that Abrego Garcia and his plight is a distraction that we shouldn't pay attention to. Due process, unimportant, while a fascist president runs roughshod over jurisprudence in the United States. Oh, it's a distraction, says a guy that I've had praise for in the past. No longer. Governor Pritzker, in this speech before this New Hampshire audience, also, not by name, but in a low-key subtext kind of way, is calling out leaders in the Democratic Party, elected officials in the Democratic Party who are weak or wrong or sidling up to be a Republican light candidate. The Republican light, it wasn't a candidacy of Republican light, but it was a Republican light campaign, which is what we just witnessed get trounced by Donald Trump in this election. And when I say trounced, I mean any loss is a big loss when you're running against Donald Trump. We don't want another. Anyway, I'm going to play this clip. Watch this, and then we'll talk about several of these elements on the other side.
We Democrats, we shouldn't be comfortable ignoring those cries for help. The fact that so many are speaks to the real reason that we lost last November. What I find ironic about the current conversation surrounding our party is that the voices flocking to podcasts and cable news shows to admonish fellow Democrats for not caring enough about the struggles of working families are the same ones who, when it comes to relief of the struggles of real people, have been timid, not bold. They didn't want to fight the health insurance companies and the drug manufacturers. They didn't want to demand an increase in the minimum wage or require paid family leave. They gave in to the powerful hedge fund managers and tech bros whose blind pursuit of profits is now destroying everything that matters to middle-class families, from home ownership to health care to veterans' benefits. They told us to ignore the fact that most Americans can't afford a vacation while they're young or a retirement once they're old. Here's the problem with the do-nothing crowd, now telling us what to do. Well, they spent their years watching Republicans illegitimately pack the Supreme Court, take away voting rights from people of color, systematically chip away at the constitutional order. And all the while, they offered, in response, a simple defense of norms and decorum and a blind hope that one day soon, Republicans would wake up to find their better angels. Well, that got us exactly where we are today. So, folks, the reckoning is here. And now that this culture of timidity is on full display, those same do-nothing Democrats want to blame our losses on our defense of black people, of trans kids, of immigrants, instead of their own lack of guts and gumption. Voters didn't turn out for Democrats last November, not because they don't want us to fight for their values, but because they think we don't want to fight for our values. We need to knock off the rust of poll-tested language, decades of stale decorum. It's obscured our better instincts.
Look, I am very happy to hear this. Is Pritzker my guy to run in 2028? Way too early to tell. I'm generally not a fan of billionaires, but, I might be able to be persuaded. But let me tell you, this is the kind of talk that I want to hear. Talking about while Democrats have whined about this or that, the Republicans took action and are fundamentally and structurally changing our country. And Gavin Newsom, who I think he's talking about here, is someone who isn't looking out for people who are in harm's way, who are absolutely being harmed economically and otherwise by this administration. While Gavin Newsom takes fascist rulings from the Supreme Court that criminalize homelessness, he uses that ruling to clear homeless people from view of the public, giving them no place to stay, but moving them from one place to another. Photo ops where he's moving tents, moving people's belongings and throwing it into the trash. Gavin Newsom himself is trash. He is a garbage leader. Used to be my governor. I voted for that guy. I voted against his recall in California a few years ago when I lived there. But when you start sitting down with Nazis like Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk, you know what, Gavin, you can straight off, brother. We need good, decent leadership in the Democratic Party. We need people messaging like JB Pritzker. Again, I don't know who my candidate is. It's unlikely to be somebody like this guy. We don't know. We don't know. I don't know. We'll see who shows up on the scene. But we need leaders who are willing to call out when someone is acting wrong, whether they're in the party or not. This old adherence to the ancient political order, like he was just talking about the decorum and my good friend across the aisle. We need to dispense with that bullshit. It is no longer the way it is anymore. And I, for one, am not going to play the party game. I'm not going to be someone who doesn't call out the Jared Moskowitzes. I'm not going to be someone who ignores when Gavin Newsom sits down with motherfucking Nazis. Not going to be that guy. Not going to be an Access independent journalist. I'm not going to say the right thing so the party looks upon me as, oh, that's a guy you need to go sit down with. He'll advance your message. I'm going to be asking the hard questions. I'm going to use this platform that I've been blessed by you to have to ask those hard questions, to hold our leaders to account, to not be a Republican that allows our leaders to run roughshod over the Constitution and your rights in this country. I will not do that ever. And I hope that you can trust me to do that, or that you will trust me. I know you can trust me. But whether you will or not is another question. Because look, politics is oftentimes a team sport where we're chalking up wins and losses. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in preserving our union, preserving the republic, providing for messaging for progressive policies, actual progressive policies, not just somebody who calls themselves a progressive but is not one. Progressives don't sit down with Nazis. Progressives don't criminalize people having no place to live. And I'm going to use my platform appropriately, and I hope you believe that I'm doing so. I'd love to hear from you on it, though. You can comment below. You can call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Who's your pick? I know it's way too early. I don't even like talking about this, but it might be nice to see what what people are thinking out there. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Until then, be genuine. Take care of one another.